Two men. Some podcasting equipment. What could possibly go wrong? Don't you think we have enough of them?
Yeah, we have enough of those.
No! Ladies and gentlemen, prepare your ears for a listening experience you've never had. It's Pertinent Podcast! Welcome into the It's Pertinent Podcast, a very interesting and different episode of the podcast. Episode 10, big milestone. This is the podcast where the further you are...
Okay, I'm a little confused. The further you are?
Yeah?
I feel like you need something else. The further you are from...
Nope, the further you are...
The faster you are.
Sure.
That was such...
Momentum.
It's like you were a matador and you were like, come to my red cloak, but on the other side of the cloak was a sinkhole. You're like, oh, here's the layup into an absolutely nothing.
Like a Looney Tunes, go into a train tunnel, but it's a brick wall.
Yeah, or I'm fucking galloping on midair until you realize the mistake you've made, and then I plummet.
You look down, and then there's a
to terminal velocity immediately. Yeah. No, that makes no sense. I'm sorry. This is not
the further you are, the blah blah blah. Like it makes sense.
Yeah. All right, make one up.
The further you are, the farther you have to run.
Nope. The further you are, the farther you are away. Oh, brilliant.
That's not what I said. The farther you have to run. There's a big difference there.
No. Anyways, a little bit of a difference. I gotta not flick my desk. I'm acting like we're in person here. This is our not COVID podcast, but that's what we were calling it whilst we were setting up today. Young James is a little bit under the weather this week, and I simply, with my incredibly packed schedule, could not afford to catch whatever it is he's got. So if you're concerned about the low rumbling from my co-host today, that's just him putting on a sick voice for your pleasure. Loves that. Big morning voice guy. Big morning voice guy.
Yeah, I have bad morning voice or good morning voice.
Loves
I don't know how to.
Really against at 7:00 in the morning.
Yeah, well, when I call you at 7 in the morning, I'm not gonna. All right, And
then it's gone.
Or when you call me and wake me up, which happens so often.
It does. It happens quite a lot. I'm an early riser. Like to get my ideal wake up time is 5:55 a.m. Do you know that?
That's just the biggest load of horse.
Well, it's ideal, but it's not one I ever have. So
right. It's the one you set an alarm for and then you sleep through it.
Yeah, that's the one. That's usually all of mine. I think a cool thing about this one for any people watching on the tube, they can see a different part of the pod room from where we usually record it, and we're also seeing in James's office.
Yes.
/flat.
Yes. / area to do fun things.
To live. Ooh.
Yeah. Very.
What sort of fun things do you do there?
Play guitar, play video games, read, write.
That's pretty fun. I would say that's sort of nondescript activities that aren't exclusive to that room, but
I think we're getting off track.
Yeah, a little bit. It's weird. It's weird doing. I've just realized how strange it is to do a pod for the first time whilst online, digitally. Yeah, it's digital, James.
Yeah, I'm so used to seeing your reactions in person and not like slightly behind your voice.
Is it?
A little bit, but it's okay. It's like barely noticeable.
Can fix that in post.
Yeah, we'll fix it in post.
Yeah.
Can you,
anyways,
whoever's editing the post, can you put a funny mustache on Kurt, please?
What do you got a mustache?
Put a funnier one, and then do the little Harry Potter scar. And little tidbit for those who are watching.
That's just making more work for you. Anyways, look, I asked, I came to you and I said, look, I've got something I need to talk about. I need to get off my chest. But I wanted to tie in with something else I've been wondering about. This is a bit of a social situation that I ponder sometimes, I am a single man, relationship-wise, and I often find situations where I think, okay, look, there's this person that I think is interesting. I would like to go up and talk to them, but I feel like the place I'm in is inappropriate. And I think the top place that usually is the gym. I think the gym is completely unacceptable to approach somebody. I find it very hard when somebody's working. You never want to make somebody's shift awkward. That's a rough one. There's a few different ones. And the reason this has been on my mind so much recently is at my gym, there's, I would say there's a few of them, but I'm really only talking about one. There's a man at my gym that will habitually take up an enormous amount of time out of other people's workouts so he can go up and talk to them. And when I say other people, I mean pretty much all women. And I'll give you a short description of this man. His name is Joe. We'll call him Joe because that's his actual name. And Joe
no
is
anonymity on this podcast.
60 to 65 year old man. I can't remember what age he said. Joe's quite, buff. He's got a slick back of grey hair.
Right.
Can call him Slickback Joe. And he's quite muscly. He's a Italian man. He's got a mustache. He talks like this to me. And he's to give you a description or an idea of the type of person he is. When I literally, pretty much first conversation, I think, a couple years ago when I met Joe, I was talking to him, I can't remember for what reason, but then he brought up to me that he thinks, he asked me to look around the gym and tell me what I notice about all of the men in the gym. And of course I was like, I don't know, they're working out, And he's like, no. Ask me, what do they all have in common? And it ended up being that they are wearing ankle socks, like invisible socks. And then he went to explain to me that in order for a woman to find you attractive, she needs to be able to see your ankles so she gets the full view of what you look like. And he also says that wearing hats in the gym is unattractive, and if I want to get a girlfriend, then I need to do this, that, and the other thing. Keep in mind, I had not spoken to Joe about my relationship status or romantic history or anything whatsoever. I just met him, and he was giving me all of this information.
Just a casual, introductory conversation.
Yeah, exactly. Not a conversation you would expect, especially in the gym. But Joe loves to go up and talk to people, and he specifically loves to go up and talk to women. And not women who are of his age or even close to his age range. Joe, only operates in the age range of 20 to 40 years younger than him. It genuinely, there's never anybody his own age unless they're men. And the other day I was working out, and I watched Joe in action. There was this poor young girl, I reckon, anywhere from 18 to 21, just a young looking girl, and she was using the cable machines. So this cable machine is up against a wall, so she really didn't have anywhere to go. He walks over, he takes dominant stance. He puts his hand up on the cable machine to block her in so she can't go anywhere. She's cut off from the outside world. And then proceeds to talk her ear off, and I guarantee not a single question in there, for the next 30 minutes. And I understand that if you're a woman, it's very difficult in those situations to figure out what to do, because this is a creepy guy. And offending somebody like this would come across as dangerous, because there's been people at our gym before that have followed women to their cars and completely, have no idea that they're doing the wrong thing. So you don't want to get yourself in a bad situation. I can't speak to this person's state of mind. Maybe they liked Joe, whatever. But Joe, if I can go on a little tangent for a second, this is really just a reason for me to talk about Slickback Joe.
Go for it.
Because I think he's such an interesting character, and I'll be able to provide updates if I see any of Joe in the future.
I think everyone has interacted with someone of this caliber beforehand.
Well, he's got a lot going on. There's a lot of layers to this character. Joe, at one point, whilst I was in the gym, he hadn't been in the gym for 2 weeks, so when he came over to talk to me, I was like, oh, Joe, where have you been? You've been out with injuries. No, I was in Thailand on holiday. And you want to know how you know you still got it? It's what? In my head, I'm got what? Is when you can, in back-to-back nights, sleep with one friend and then sleep with the other friend the next night. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, no, of course, Joe. I completely stunned. For that to be a first, again, just comes over with the sole purpose of telling me some absurd stuff that has no business interrupting me doing my tricep pushdowns. And he goes on this elaborate tangent, much like I am right now, telling me about how he met these two women in Thailand who were very young. and very fit. And he was, he just trying to build up in my head that it was completely impossible for him to be able to, be successful with a woman of this. Like the way he described it was so misogynistic and so, extremely sexist. It makes me like I can't find the words to properly translate what it was that he said.
Disgusting.
But
it's disgusting.
it was absolutely disgusting. And the kicker for me was at a certain point I said, Joe, aren't you married? And he's like, oh no, my marriage failed, but I've got a partner at the moment. She's a great woman. She does everything you could ask of a partner. She cooks and she cleans, And I'm like, so Joe, like, how does she feel about this? Oh, in Italy we have a saying: what the eyes cannot see, the heart cannot feel. So she knows when I go on holiday, that I'm fooling around, and it doesn't mean anything, I just. There's a lot of beautiful women, and I have the needs, and but I always come back to her, and she knows this. So, it's what we say in Italy. Yeah, please ask a question. I have.
Yeah, I got a question. Does Joe have any children? Do you know of?
Oh, I highly doubt it. Not like ones that he would know about.
Like legitimate children, I guess.
Yeah, nah, wouldn't think so. He's never brought them up.
Let's all hope that Joe does not change that.
Never.
That's generationally disgusting.
Yeah, and so to link that back to my first point, there's people like that who exist in the gym. So why on earth would you have any reason to believe that the person coming up to you isn't similar to that? Because that is absolute worst case scenario. Aside from wanting to abduct the person, I think that is the worst conversation you can get into with somebody in the gym.
Yeah.
Like coming up like a full-on creep who's going to be going, I'm going to follow you to your car now. Like that's the worst. That's the worst case scenario. So I just don't want to be
added into that pile.
No.
Well, I think gym has to be one of the top 5 places to never approach someone.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
People aren't there to socialize unless you're going with friends. But even then, it's
with your
not
friends.
A place. Yeah, it's not somewhere that they want to socialize with you.
No.
Do you think of any other really bad places to approach people?
Church probably.
The hospital.
Actually, no, hospital. Yeah, really bad. I feel like people would find it difficult in hospitals because nurses have to have quite not intimate relations, but they're seeing a very intimate side of you just by proxy of having that job. So people would get that confused a lot. So I reckon that would be really tough
the
for nurses.
I meant the people that are unwell.
So
imagine you're fighting for your life and you're just this guy comes up to you and goes, hey, so
crazy.
I saw you here struggling and I just thought you were really pretty. Can I get your number?
Yeah. I cannot imagine a well person going into a hospital looking for a date. That would be pretty horrendous.
I'm sure Joe's done it before.
I think Joe would frequent any place where a person with a pulse hangs out. Joe also said a bunch of other stuff that I'm just not going to repeat, by the way.
So the moral of this is if you see a Joe, either step in and be like, hey mate.
I considered that. I considered walking over and just putting my head in. It's like, hey, nice to meet you. Joe actually routinely tells me about how much he enjoys cheating on his wife and preying on younger women. Anyways, you have a good one. Bye. I don't want to be that guy though, in case I'm wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in that scenario, worst case, you're wrong. You've just made a slightly awkward situation. If you're right, you've saved someone from a really shitty conversation.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Lesser of two evils.
I reckon I'm just going to switch gyms so I don't have to make that decision.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, but I think gym is really just the number one. I most other places you get away. I know lots of people who ask, people are working a cafe or something out, very easy, get the number on a receipt or whatever. Work I find is weird. But outside of that, is there any really taboo places?
Anything to do with vulnerability, so anything to do with health. I think a doctor's office probably isn't the greatest.
Really bad. Physio, bad.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, anything your gyno, don't ask them. Your dentist.
Don't ask your gyno.
I understand, especially now whilst their hands are in your mouth, I feel like that's just going to be a weird blurred line there.
Oh,
dentist. I said dentist.
I was about to say, if your gyno's putting your hands in your mouth, that's
not your gyno.
Run the other way.
Ask for your doctor to come back. I think my favorite game that we play has definitely got to be reverse adlibs. I try and get it into the agenda every single week. And now that we're online, I feel as though it's a no holds barred. I know we did it last week, but I want to do it again this week.
And that's okay. Let's do it again.
You might want to put that in reverse so you can understand what I just said.
I didn't get to do it last time, so I got 10 words written down for you, and I just want to see what you think about these words. This is word association part. Right. With the 10 words that I give James and the 10 he gives me, I'm going to have to make a story that is as coherent as possible. Are you ready for your first word?
I need those coffee beans that I grabbed in the first episode. I don't know how I did that.
Get Joe out of your head.
All right, Joe's gone.
Joe's gone.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome in the void, the nothingness. Mm-hmm. All right, first word is going to be cheese.
Grater.
Do I have to go with that spelling?
I'm going to leave it up to artistic interpretation.
All right. Next word is magnets.
Maggot was the first word I thought of.
This is why I remember when we first started doing this, I tried to categorize the words into what I think would be the most likely response you were going to give me, so that I could get a kind of coherent story going. But nowadays, I just write down absolutely whatever comes to mind and just run with it. Because I said magnets and you said maggot. There's just no telling what you'll get.
That's the beauty of the mind.
Yep, that's one way to put it. Maleficent.
What's the actress's name? I thought Anne Hathaway. That was what I thought, but it's not Anne Hathaway. It's...
Well, we're going with Anne Hathaway.
Who is it?
Gal Gadot.
No, it's not. I mean, the new one.
Enough champagne to fill the Nile.
Angelina Jolie is the name of Maleficent. Maleficent?
Did I say that, or did I only think that? Because I was pretty sure that's what it was. Jolie.
You probably thought it, because I said Anne Hathaway. It's not Anne Hathaway.
Next word, republic.
Democratic.
I thought you were going to say empire. Fair enough.
I did, I thought something Star Wars, but I thought after democratic, I was like, I can't fake this. You have to go with the first word that pops into your mind.
That is the way the game works. Storm.
Veil.
Veil or fail?
Veil. V-A-I-L.
V-A-I-L?
Yeah. Like a veil.
So V-E-I-L.
It's not how you spell that. Well, Stormveil in the game is spelled V-A-I-L. So that's where I was getting it from.
Isn't it A-L-E?
No, it's A-I-L.
A-I-L? Stormveil in the game is A-I-L.
I don't think you don't need to look it up. You don't need to look it up. It's
no, I'm correct. It's E-I-L.
No, it's you don't need to look it up. It's okay.
Next word. Baby.
Formula.
Okay. Could have been driver. No, see,
Could
this is
have been
what
a
I'm
lot of
saying.
words.
It's like what I was trying. You see what I mean?
You were trying to go for driver. Gotcha.
Yeah. Next word, adventure.
Time.
Yeah, sorry, I messed up. I was thinking it and then...
I was going to go time regardless.
Yeah, I figured. Next word is televised.
Honey was the first word that popped into my mind because of the song.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. I get what you're saying. Extreme.
Sports.
Yeah. Final word, puppy.
Dog, but D-A-W-G.
D-A-W-G. Okay.
All right, I'm cozy.
Today, I'm going to tell you a story about a very vindictive, evil person. A person known only to time as the Grater. That's G-R-A-T-E-R. So you can imagine in your own mind what type of person this is. Just the lowest of the low, those that dwell beneath the dirt, the maggots /S of our civilization. You know, the type of scum that you see wandering in the back alleys and waiting to plot on people in such an evil manner. They want to do things to people in bad ways. They watch on as people like famous people walk the streets and they go, "Ooh, I want to put them in the grater. They want to put them in the grater." It's like, the main person they want to put in the grater is Anne Hathaway because she's super pretty, and they want to grate her up like cheese on the big holes. They're going to use big holes on Anne Hathaway for big cheese. So the grater, now that I'm remembering clearly, is actually a group of people. It's a group of like murderers and like it's like a bad gang called the Grater, right? But they're all run. It's a democratic civilization. The Graters. They make quick work and long slices of all their prey. They use big holes, little holes, the other holes nobody uses, and they send their victims beyond the veil into the afterlife to watch on as their string cheese forms now pollute the stores of the Grater. And you're probably thinking, what on earth? These Grater people sound terrible, and you'd be correct. But there's something you don't know. They're actually doing something for the betterment of civilization. The whole goal of the Grater is to collect the essence of humanity to create a formula that can effectively turn back time. They want to use this power that is innate within all of us to create this concoction with a similar viscosity to honey that you'll be able to slurp up and rejuvenate your body and your cells so that you can do things like play sports again. And that is the goal of the Grater. They want to rejuvenate the body and the mind with the grated remains of people like Anne Hathaway so that they can play sports again. Because the Grater love sports. They're a huge New York Knicks fan, and because on the New York Knicks they've got that point guard, Jalen Brunson. He's a dog, and they love that guy. And so the Grater civilization is like a New York Knicks fans, and they just want to make sure Jalen Brunson lives forever. The end.
That's like, have you watched the Logan Paul movie that came out? Because that's almost the exact plot.
Really?
The Thinning. That's almost the exact plot of that.
Oh,
they take people up and it's time travel, all that stuff. I thought you were doing that as a bit.
No. I've never seen it.
You're on the same level of mastermind as Logan Paul.
Maybe I'll get into the WWE.
Well done. Also,
thank you.
It seemed like the narrator was a bit back and forth there on what it was. It started off as this person, but then it became like a cult, and then it was like an empire. It was a moving story, a sentient story, as has been coined beforehand.
I don't know what comes over me when I tell those stories. I just allow the spirit of the story to take hold of my vocal cords, and then whatever comes out, you know.
And then
it's like I'm like piecing together,
strumming a guitar.
Exactly right. That's such a good way of talking about it. You know, I'm the wood, and the soul of the story is the strings.
And your vocal cords are the frets.
Yeah. My mustache is.
And who's playing it?
The spirit of the Grater,
universe.
The story. Yeah. I'm just a vehicle, man. I'm just the messenger.
And you can't hate the messenger.
All the graters once you figure out what their true purpose is.
Yeah. Let's I think I'm gonna make a T-shirt about the Graters.
Yeah.
Put a big
grated.
cheese.
Ooh, all their
The
victims.
grated.
Yeah.
Did you use veil at all? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention to the words.
Yeah,
I was so entranced.
They send the grated across the veil into the afterlife.
Ah, different use, different word. Good job.
Nope, same word.
No, because veil. What I was saying was the veil that goes over like a bride.
Right. So it's the same word. It just has multiple meanings.
What is that? A homonym?
Homonym, yeah.
God, I'm good.
Yeah. And then homophone
my year 12
is
English teacher would be proud.
She would be. I learned homophone in like year 3, and we all thought it was the funniest thing. In year 2, I remember the day we learned about the thing homophone, and we all just kept saying it. But homophone is where two things sound the same and are spelled differently.
It's like the word rebuttal. I remember in PE one time, my teacher said rebuttal, and I, in the back of the class, like not super quiet, but not loud, just went, rebuttal, and then everyone heard it and laughed. Yeah, and it was the greatest day of my life.
I love those. Yeah. Miss school for that reason only. Just a live crowd.
It's just a constant comedy routine.
Yeah, I got to the point where people were saying that I had like a 1 in 6 success rate with my jokes.
I'm at that at the moment.
Well, like I feel like I still sort of maintain true to that ratio. It's like, yeah, I'll take it. 1 in 6. If I get a laugh, 1 in 6, it's worth to continue.
That's a role player coming off the bench, clutch time shooting. Clutch 3.
Yeah. I prepared for this moment.
I'd rather go 1 in 70 than 1 in 6.
Yeah.
Because 1 in 6 meant I stopped shooting. Keeping in theme of our sort of singles podcast episode, referring back to Slickback Joe, the only time I'll refer back to him, there's a weird phenomenon shaping the dating scene at this current
Has been for a while. It just won't go away.
Yeah, and both Kurt and I have some very strong feelings about this. It's the ick. You might have heard about it. It's I guess a trend where people describe someone that they like and they say they're really good, but they, bend over to tie their shoes, or they chase after a ping pong ball, or it's something trivial that they go, "Ooh, I don't like that," because that puts them in a compromised position, or whatever the case may be. And then they lose interest in them. And I'm a pretty firm believer that that's a bunch of malarkey. I think that's stupid. And if you're basing your liking of someone on their, individual little quirks, if you like them enough, they won't bother you. And it just shows that you don't like them enough. But for our segment, we're going to do a show you're working out and prove once and for all through our combined intelligence and individual intelligence, because we are going against each other, why the ick isn't real. It doesn't exist. It's a faux pas. It's a hoax. Am I using faux pas right?
I never know what faux pas means, so I don't use it.
Well, I know faux means fake.
I just said I never know what faux pas means.
Every single time.
An embarrassing or tactless act or remark in a social situation.
Okay.
I was suddenly sick in the back of the car. It was years before he could confess his faux pas to them.
Wow, that sounded like a rap.
Yeah. An embarrassing act or remark in a social situation. It doesn't mean malarkey.
Okay. Well then,
yeah.
I'll just.
That's what I'm getting from this definition.
Okay. Well, I'm still going to use it in that fashion. Staying on brand, I'm going to use a word that does not mean what I think it means to describe what I think it means.
No, I think talking about the ick would be a faux pas because it's embarrassing to talk about it. Unless I'm misunderstanding what faux pas means. But it says it's an embarrassing, or tactless act or remark. Yeah. It is embarrassing. If you talk about having the ick, you are embarrassing.
Yeah. And we're going to prove to you why. If you don't know how this game works, we have... How many minutes we haven't played this in a while. Do you say 2 minutes?
3 minutes. Yeah, 3 minutes.
If you don't know how this game works, we have 3 minutes to write down our definition of a chosen topic or like statement and explain that after the time has passed. And today's topic is the ick, or more correctly, why it doesn't exist. Yeah, and we've got our 3 minutes. Our time is going to start very soon, and we'll come back and then we'll get into our explanations. And you get to vote. If you go to Instagram, you get to vote on whose explanation you liked better. And whoever gets that vote will get its pertinent point for this week.
Holy word vomit. Gosh, I'm so sorry. That was such a lengthy explanation.
Psst. Hey, what's the capital of Thailand?
The capital of Thailand is Bangkok. I'm almost positive. I feel like I should go first.
I'm happy with that.
All right. The ick is a result of years of social stigma demeaning people for individual menial acts. Often people describe the ick as the person that they like doing something out of character or a little silly or goofy that doesn't perfectly fit into their mold of what they find attractive in a life partner. This stems from the need to be socially acceptable and not embarrassing, which is all subjective and cannot be held against a person. Ultimately, if you cannot like a person within all of their individual quirks and mannerisms, then the fact is that you do not like them enough to consider them a partner. Yes, it's funny when someone does something a bit uncouth, but if you truly liked them, then it would not change your feelings.
That's good. It's a good argument against the superficial nature of having an ick. Mm-hmm. I've said very much like a similar thing. I feel like we've kind of gone quite analytical on this as opposed to being anecdotal on most of our other ones. Because what I have said is my explanation is, the ick is a social construct invented by people to avoid accountability in romantic relations. What I mean by this is that I don't believe that something as small and benign as an ick would substantiate the dislike of a person all on its own. Rather, it's a guise to avoid admitting that someone simply isn't right for you. The ick is also a vehicle to empower people in putting others down. In quotation marks, he's very handsome, but he presses the crosswalk button more than once. In reality, the ick is similar in use to negging, a strategy people employ to artificially win the affection of others through putting them down. The ick is simply a way to avoid feeling complex emotions and to categorize people using meaningless benchmarks. It's also a great way to show everyone you're not worth dating.
What an ending. What an ending.
If anybody's like, oh, you want to see my list of icks? No.
No, I'm okay, actually. My Uber's just gotten here.
Yeah.
This was lovely.
Oh man, I'm
Let
so
me pay
glad
for
you've got
this.
a criteria that I have to live up to
Yeah.
to just go out with you. All look,
All of my individual mannerisms have to be on point or else I'm out of here.
yeah, have a look at the field of our relationship. Ignore all the landmines out there that you have to dodge in order to get to the other side. But this is what it's going to look like.
All
Ridiculous.
the electric fence piling around.
Yeah. It's just, look at this. We've got this boardwalk of barbed wire. Please get to the other side.
Please tippy-toe to the other side without getting cut. If you get cut, well, I'm getting the ick.
Yeah. If you start bleeding, then I get the ick. I don't even know where we're going with this. All right. I got a question for you, James, before we wrap up here. What do you think? What do you think of the whole online pod format at the moment? Like it, dislike it?
It's
Questions,
different.
queries? Yeah.
I don't hate it. I do prefer in person. But at a pinch, just like this week was,
Yeah.
I think it can work.
Yeah, well, through necessity, I think it can be an option.
Yeah. I think if push comes to shove, who's shove?
I
If
didn't
push
even notice
comes
you
to
missed
shove, it's an option
Yeah.
that we can.
I
that
think
we can
now,
explore.
because sometimes we are quite pressed for time in terms of recording the pod, as James lives about an hour away from the podcast studio, which just happens to be my house. And so with that,
Very
plus the time it takes, time it takes for him to travel, record the pod, head back home, it's anywhere between it's a 4+ hour ordeal.
It's a full day.
Realistically, and we record in the middle of the day, so it's you don't get a lot done. So on days like that, I think where it just physically can't be done, this is a good option.
Going forward, I know our schedule has been a bit whack all of a sudden over the last couple of months, but going forward, we have both committed to recording on Sunday and releasing on Friday. So every week on Friday, 9 a.m.
Doesn't matter at the time as long as it's out on Friday.
Okay.
I
On
don't
Friday.
Look, I don't know any super fans who are just sitting there and gnawing at the edges of their cage waiting for the pod
do.
to drop at a certain time.
They've been DMing
me. So, yeah, it'll be released on Friday, and that's all that needs to be said about it.
And if you miss out on anything, go to the pipes at It's Pertinent Pod on all forms of social media. If you go there, you can have a look. Things you missed are going to be uploaded. There are going to be all the polls for all the pertinent points, updates, funny things, the stories. Everyone likes my stories.
Fun facts.
Just fun
Quotes
facts
from
about
our favorite historians.
Yeah, just like the cool
Anything.
things.
Day in the life videos. Draw my life videos.
Oh, we should do that.
Sure.
I immediately don't want to do that now that I've said it.
No. Yeah.
That's okay.
Get a whiteboard. So I was born at a very young age, and to my mom and my dad, shut up.